after she got pregnant, a letter she sent them.
Wait a minute.
I sent the guy a letter telling him that I was pregnant, letting him know what was going on.
This is exactly why young people don't have no business making babies. You can't even tell the story to make no sense.
He was telling people I was just getting fat. He was like, she just eats a lot of fast food. Everybody was rubbing, my friends were rubbing my stomach. I'm showing ultrasounds to people. He's like, don't believe her, she's just fat. I'm going into labor. He's like, no, you're not.
What kind of denial is this? Mr. Lee, you taking denial too far.
Exactly.
Things kick off with some serious drama right from the start. Both sides are revved up and ready for a showdown, and you can just tell it's about to get messy.
Mr. Portis, you and your mother have petitioned the court for a DNA test because you are certain you are not the father of the defendant's daughter, Ava. Say your life has been ruined and need today's paternity results to set the record straight.
Here's where it gets even weirder with court dates and missed tests all over the place. Judge Lake breaks it down, letting them know that by not showing up, he automatically became the dad. Talk about drama.
This started about 2 years ago. I started paying child support, $75 for this baby, and I never knew if she was mine or not. We never took a DNA test.
You paying child support for this baby?
Yes, thousands of dollars.
But you say you've never had a DNA test?
No.
And that's because you had a court date.
And he missed. He missed the court date.
So you were named the father by default.
Yes.
Yep.
This is when the tea gets spilled and everyone starts pointing fingers about secret relationships. You can feel the trust issues growing, and we're just getting started.
We started talking first and then eventually started dating. It happened fast.
At what point did you find out you were pregnant?
A few months later.
But when she got pregnant, we stopped talking. So like, after the fact that she got pregnant, she had hit me up and was like, hey, I'm pregnant.
We were definitely together. I called you after I got the text.
No, we weren't, because I found out that she had another boyfriend.
Okay.
Oh boy, now there's a mystery letter to her ex. Mr. Portis says Ms. Middlebrooks sent a letter to her ex telling him she was pregnant, which makes the timeline even messier. With all this back and forth, we're on the edge of our seats, waiting to see where it leads next.
How did you know that?
Because of, after she got pregnant, a letter she sent them.
Wait a minute.
I sent the guy a letter telling him that I was pregnant, letting him know what was going on.
This is exactly why young people don't have no business making babies. You can't even tell the story to make no sense.
Things get intense as Mr. Portis talks about not being there for the birth, and there's a lot of he said, she said going on. Judge Lake tells him he has to be responsible if he's the father, and boy, you can feel the tension building.
Were you at the birth, Mr. Portis?
No, I was not, Your Honor.
He had the opportunity to, but he wanted nothing to do with her.
Did you go to doctor's appointment?
No. He had nothing to do with the pregnancy.
Who was
She
with
wasn't communicating with my family at all. Every time she would talk to us, she would be disrespectful.
Or any of that. She was not even
That's the
talking
only
to
time
my
she would
son.
talk to us.
Who was with you at the birth?
My ex
Middlebrooks?
was. He stepped up.
Now comes a plot twist. The ex was there the whole time. Ms. Middlebrooks explains her ex was super supportive and was there for Ava's birth, pretty much stepping into the dad role. It's only heating up, and we're not sure who's gonna end up stepping up here.
Oh, wait.
But she
the
wasn't
ex
messing with
was
the
there?
ex, though.
Yes. When I had her, yes, he was there.
So he was away, and then by the time you had the baby, he was home.
Yes.
But you gave
And
my
you
son
say he
opportunity.
stepped up.
Yes.
What?
Son wanted nothing to do
was
with me
holding
or
her
the pregnancy.
and all that.
You do not know. You're not your son.
I
I'm
wasn't
not
in your
communicating
business,
with you.
but
I'm
I'm
communicating
his
with your
mom.
son.
I'm his mom, though.
You not being truthful.
The family feud kicks into high gear, with both sides going back and forth. You can tell everyone's wound up, and we're all wondering if they'll be able to hold it together.
Middlebrooks,
Disrespectful.
I realize that you may not agree with Miss Trent, but you have to understand that when you are dealing with someone who's your elder, right or wrong, just keep your mouth shut.
That doesn't get her.
Hold on. I am going to be very clear.
Just when you think it can't get wilder, here comes the ex, calling Mr. Portis. With every twist, this case just keeps getting deeper.
Her ex that she was dealing with had contacted me on Facebook.
Okay. And what did he say?
He was basically saying like, yo, Bryant, Jasmine, does she have you on child support and stuff like that? And I'm like, yeah, she does. She's been having me on child support. He was like, well, that's crazy because I'm taking care of her too. So it's just like an imbalance here.
The courtroom is hit with a surprise as Ms. Middlebrooks admits she wasn't sure about the paternity herself. The tension is so thick you could cut it with a knife, and you can tell we're close to the big reveal.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Portis, you are the father.
Buckle up, because Ms. Shands kicks things off by saying she just has to prove Mr. Hollis is her baby's dad. But wait, you won't believe Mr. Hollis's response coming up next.
Miss Shands, you appear in court today because you are devastated that your first love and the person you lost your virginity to is now denying your 15-month-old son, Aiden. You say once you prove to the defendant that he is the father, you hope you two can finally be a family.
And here's where it gets real messy. key. Mr. Hollis and his mom say Ms. Shands is a pathological liar and that they already know who the real dad is. It's like a soap opera, but hold on, it's about to get even juicier.
Mr. Hollis, you are here with your mother and you both testify that Ms. Shands is a pathological liar and you both don't believe you fathered her son, but claim to know who did.
Just when you think things can't get wilder, Ms. Shands admits she had a fling with one of Mr. Hollis's friends, which led to a whole mess in their friend group. The audience is gasping, and Judge Lake is just shaking her head. And trust me, there's more to this.
Me and his was close friends once before.
But
she used to come back and tell me that Mr. Amir, he was messing with one of my friends. We both were young at the time. So,
both y'all young now?
Yeah, we still are young. But I thought it was cool to go mess with one of his friends because he had slept with one of mine. We both had made a mistake.
No.
Brace yourself for this one. Judge Lake asks Ms. Shands if she used protection with Mr. Hollis's friend. And Ms. Shands says, nope, not at all. And yep, there's still a lot more to spill.
You have revenge sex with one of his friends. And did you use protection?
No.
And then how many times did you have sex with this friend of his?
Multiple times.
But were you also still being intimate with Mr. Hollis?
We had broke up. When me and his friend had an affair, we wasn't together. We was not together at all.
An affair.
And then it gets even trickier as Ms. Shire's about finding out she was pregnant and how she first told Mr. Hollis's friend, not Mr. Hollis. The lack of communication just adds to the mistrust. But trust me, the surprises aren't over yet.
So you find out you're 5 months pregnant. What happens? Who do you tell?
Well, first I told his friend because that's the person I was going with at the time. We ended up going out.
When she was going with my friend, she was still sneaking around with me anyway because I felt like he did it to me, so y'all together, I'm finna go and do what I gotta do.
Yeah.
Things get awkwardly dramatic here. Only Mr. Hollis's friend was at the birth, and Mr. Hollis didn't even know she was having the baby. The misunderstandings keep stacking up, but believe me, this story's got even more layers.
When you give birth, who was with you?
The friend was with me when Aiden was born, in the hospital, in labor.
Sent my mom there because I knew there was a possibility that my son could be the dad as well. He favored my son when he was born.
I wasn't never invited. Like, anything I ever found out about the baby, I found out by myself. Like, I ain't even know she was in labor. I had to find that out.
And now it's gone public. Ms. Shands says she was hurt when Mr. Hollis wrote a song that accuses her of cheating, and the song went viral. As if that's not enough drama, more about their beef is about to hit the fan.
Like, when I heard the song at first, especially the first song, I forgot how it started, but he put my name in it, the friend name in it, but he erased it and changed it to a whole different, and then he came out with the I
And we have some of the lyrics to that song. And I can't be cuffing Columbus hoe. About a year ago, I was in love with a thought.
Ms. Shands talks about how Aiden seems to have a real connection with Mr. Hollis, not the friend, and you can see Mr. Hollis's face soften as he talks about bonding with the baby. But wait, you'll want to hear what happens when they get the DNA results.
But every time he be with the other guy, he don't really be stunned him. He never showed the attention that he showed to Amir that he shows to the other guy.
And Miss Hollis, you say you tried to back off, but I see in this picture, you got the grandma face all over.
Finally, the DNA test results are in, and surprise.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Hollis, you are not the father.
From the start, you can tell this is about to be wild. Ms. Brewington steps up, saying Mr. Lee is definitely her son Giovanni's dad, and is dodging paternity just to skip out on child support. This is just the beginning, and things are about to get way more heated.
Ms. Brewington, you are here to prove your 3-year-old son Giovanni is Mr. Lee's biological child, and you claim Mr. Lee has been a father to your son since the day he was born and is denying paternity because he wants to avoid paying child support.
Ms. Brewington is 1000% sure that Mr. Lee is the dad. No doubts, no questions. She didn't expect any drama when she got pregnant, but Mr. Lee's got a different story, and he's about to let it fly.
So, Ms. Brewington, you claim you are 100% certain that Mr. Lee is the father.
I am without a doubt 100% certain that he is my son's father. Not only was I only sleeping with him, we were actually working on our relationship. So when I found out I was pregnant, I didn't think it was gonna be a shock or a surprise or anything like that.
You won't believe this level of denial. Mr. Lee says they weren't even cool like that when Giovanni was conceived. Judge Lake looks at him like, really? In the same bed, same house, but nothing happened? But Brewington isn't buying his story, and she's ready to prove him wrong.
At the time that Gio was conceived, we were not having no type of intercourse. We were not cool at the moment.
Your Honor, I was living with him. We were living in the same household, in the same bed.
Were you living in the same house?
Around the time, yes.
But you weren't together.
Exactly.
So were you sharing a bed?
Yes, ma'am.
And fluid.
No.
Clearly.
This moment is hilarious because Ms. Brewington finds out she's pregnant totally by accident. But if you think he's about to believe her now, you're wrong.
Okay, I found out that I was pregnant. I actually went to the doctor to just re-up on my birth control. I didn't even realize that they said that they had to do a pregnancy test before they could go ahead with the birth control. So I went ahead, they did a pregnancy test. I told him, he did not believe me at all. He went out and got 3 pregnancy tests, made me take all of them. They were all positive. And he was like, well, that's not my baby.
The way they argue over the dates is just too much. She's fed up with his cluelessness, but Mr. Lee is standing his ground like, no way, not my kid. And you can tell this argument isn't ending here.
So you seem so certain, Mr. Lee.
I do, because I'm gonna explain it to you, Your Honor. How she said her birthday is the 2nd of February.
It's not.
Her birthday's on the 2nd of February.
My birthday's on the 1st of February.
My birthday is on the, how you gonna tell me what day I was born? I was born on the 1st of February.
He said it's 2nd.
Yeah, look, it's close.
It gets even crazier. Ms. Brewington says Mr. Lee wouldn't believe she was pregnant and told everyone she was just getting chubby. But of course, Mr. Lee has another excuse up his sleeve.
He was telling people I was just getting fat. He was like, she just eats a lot of fast food. Everybody was my friends were rubbing my stomach. I'm showing ultrasounds to people. He's like, don't believe her, she's just fat. I'm going into labor. He's like, no, you're not.
What kind of denial is this? Mr. Lee, you taking denial too far.
Exactly.
Just when you think he's out of reasons, here comes Mr. Lee acting interested the second he finds out it's a boy. But trust me, his next excuse is even wilder.
As soon as he found out that my son was a boy, he's like, oh, that's my boy. I love him. That's my son. I need to be there.
Was Mr. Lee there?
He came after I had given birth because he had work. But he showed right up. He actually didn't even, they asked about the birth certificate and everything. He signed the birth certificate. He named my son. Like, no, I'm not letting you give my son no dumb name.
This next part takes a real twist when Mr. Lee says Ms. Brewington's friend told him she knew the real dad, which got him doubting even more. At this point, this story couldn't get any messier, or could it?
One of her friends, a good friend of her, actually told me that I wasn't the father. She told me that she knows who's the father.
My friend told him that because she wanted to sleep with him.
I'm still talking.
I actually caught them sleeping together.
What?
This is the part where Ms. Brewington tries to prove things by showing baby pictures to compare Mr. Lee and Giovanni. But everyone's just waiting to see if the DNA will tell the real story.
So you're saying this is a picture of Giovanni on the left, and this is Mr. Lee as a child on the right?
Yes.
And you say you see a definite resemblance
between them two, yes.
They're light skinned.
You really don't believe he's yours now that he's here in the world?
No. I don't really see too much of me. Maybe, yeah, like I said, we got curls, but...
It's nuts to see Mr. Lee admit he's been around as Giovanni's dad, paying child support, all while saying the kid isn't his. The DNA test results are about to bring everything out into the open.
You're obviously responsible as it relates to child support because you signed the birth certificate.
I'm always there. I've never not been there. So he calls me daddy.
Calls you daddy?
Yes. Yes.
With all of that,
yes,
you still don't believe he's your biological son?
No.
Your Honor, that is his baby. And I can't wait, because the devil is a liar and this is Lucifer, so stop. No.
Well, you might be the devil then.
This is the big shocker.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Lee, you are not the father.
Told y'all.
Hold up.
I already knew. I told you.
Here we go. Buckle up because this case is wild from the get-go. This intro sets up what's about to be a bumpy ride, so stay tuned.
Ms. Hooker, you are here with your mother because you say the defendant's son, Mr. Abraham, fathered your 10-month-old daughter, Kanaya. You say that Ms. Baker and her family's denial of this child has caused you pain, and you are here for an apology and to prove her son is the father.
Oh boy, here come the doubts, and Ms. Baker is not holding back. And trust me, things are only heating up from here.
Ms. Baker, you and your daughter are here today to represent your son, Mr. Abraham, because tragically, he was killed 3 months after the birth of this child. You say that before his death, your son expressed great doubt that he was the father of Ms. Hooker's baby, and you are here to put the lies to rest.
Ms. Hooker's got feelings, and she is laying them all out for the court. She also points out that her baby looks just like Keyshawn, so what's the issue? Emotions are running high, and you can bet there's more drama on the way.
I'm just sad sometimes. I try to deal with it now. Like, I really don't care no more. Like, that's how I feel. I don't care anymore. I don't care who feel nothing about my baby. I don't care. It just seemed like everybody else looking upside my head like I'm an animal. Like, every time I'm sitting down doing something, they looking at me like I'm just outcast of the group. She looked like me, so why's the problem? That's why I just say I don't care about nothing.
This is where things get real serious, and honestly, a little sad. But don't get too comfortable because we're diving right back into the mess.
My son was on vacation, and we kept hearing that Denia was pregnant, but then when we finally found out for sure, he told me, he said he wasn't the only boy that had messed with Denia. And he made me promise that we was gonna get a blood test, and things didn't go the way we thought they were gonna go.
And get ready for Miss Hooker's turn to clap back at those rumors. Just when you think it might calm down, the tension spikes again.
You know, cause that's why it's funny, cause how can somebody tell me who I was sleeping with? Nobody in the room was in the room with me when I was sleeping with somebody.
Keyshawn only denied the baby when him and my daughter was arguing. Other than that, I have pictures with him laying on her, getting mad at what he tell his mother or nothing like that. He held the baby, kissed the baby, and loved the baby. We just need to get the results for Miss Carolyn.
Ms. Baker wants to clear her name, but you can still feel the tension brewing. But it doesn't look like the back and forth is ending anytime soon.
I'm not trying to do anything against anybody to make her feel bad. I ain't never been denying them. We never had a problem. She come stay the night when she feel like it, her and the baby. Everything. They was just with me at my birthday dinner. Even though my son telling me I have never did or said anything to make her feel no bad.
Now we're talking about an obituary feud. Yep, you read that right. It's a serious hit to their relationship, and the room just gets tenser.
One of my family members was in the obituary, but my baby one. Y'all can keep my family member out the obituary.
Okay.
She said one of her family members was in the obituary.
But there was no mention of Kenia. Was this intentional, Miss Baker, Miss Bland? Was this something that...
Like this, Judge. She went and finished up without me. Kenia did get left out. So did my grandmother, and so did one of my sisters.
All right, here it is, the big DNA reveal we've all been waiting for, and it's a bombshell.
It has been determined by this court. The percentage of relatedness between Ms. Baker, Mr. Abraham, and Kenia Abraham is 0%.
This is why right here.
Ms. Baker, are you all right?
Right from the jump, things are totally bonkers. This little detail throws everyone for a loop and gets Judge Lake and the whole audience sucked in. And trust me, it's about to get a whole lot weirder.
2 brothers could be the father. 2 brothers with the same name could be the biological father. This is a lot.
It is.
It really is.
When he came to me and he told me that he was my dad, I went to family members and I asked them, did you know that there was a possibility? They've all told me they believe Steve is my dad.
This next part cranks up the weight. What? Factor big time. But buckle up because his next proof is next level.
But Michael Shockley, you still believe you are Desiree's biological father?
Yes, Your Honor. She's always been my little girl, so she'll never not be my little girl. But like, I have all girls and he's got all boys. All boys and one girl. Let's see.
Okay, now Michael tries to back up his claim with a family chart. Just when we think it's all laughs, though, Michael's daughter steps in to give her 2 cents.
You submitted a chart.
You like my chart?
So, Mike, you say you have all girls.
Yes, ma'am.
3 girls, and Desiree's right there in the middle.
Yep.
Steve, you have all boys.
Yes, Your Honor.
5 boys.
And one daughter.
He's serious about that one daughter.
And here comes Crystal, Michael's daughter, adding even more emotion to this family mix-up. Just when you think it's all family love, things take a sharp emotional turn.
Question, have you ever had any doubt in your mind? Your whole life growing up, you knew Desiree to be your sister?
Yes, our whole life, we fought as kids over who was more of a daddy's girl. She'd be like, oh, you're mama's girl. No, I'm daddy's girl. And you know, we went back and forth. We grew up with him. He's on our birth certificates. He's got our names tattooed on his neck.
Crystal doesn't hold back and drops a hard question. Why did Steve wait 2 whole decades to say anything? Her question definitely stirs things up, and it's Desiree's turn to let out her feelings next.
So to me, with this going on, I've always questioned why did he never come forward before? Why wait all this time? It doesn't make sense. Why would you wait 20 years to come up and say something? Why? That hurt us more than anything. If you were, why did you wait?
But why are you blaming me? I mean, like I said a while ago, I would have told her years ago if they hadn't kept her from me.
Desiree's story about how this mess affects her whole family is truly tough. And boy, the next part is about to make this even sadder.
And now you have to live with the fact that you don't know that.
We've never been really close. That was the way that we were close. That it was the connection that we had. You know, we could always say that our Bubba, yeah, he's our Bubba, but we're closer. We have that bigger connection because we do share the same mother and the same father. So I feel like in a way it kind of broke a connection that we had.
Judge Lake is here with her wise, comforting words to help Desiree through this emotional ride. But just wait until science gets pulled into this family drama.
It's heartbreaking to the point that I feel like I've been lied to my entire life. I've been, like, my entire first 20 years as far as who my dad is has been one big lie.
Who do you call dad?
Steve.
Oh, you do?
Yes, ma'am.
Who do you believe is your biological father?
In my heart, I feel like Steve is.
Out of nowhere, Judge Lake brings in Dr. Baird, a DNA expert, to explain the who's the dad science. Now, everyone's holding their breath as they get closer to the big reveal.
Difficult thing to do genetically to sort out which of the two is the true biological father. However, what we do at DNA Diagnostic Center in order to exclude one of the two individuals. And in this particular case, that's exactly what we did. We tested almost twice the number of samples of DNA that we normally test in order to exclude absolutely one of the two individuals.
Even with the stakes this high, Desiree tries to keep things hopeful by saying she wants both brothers in her life. But just as things start feeling cozy, her mom jumps in with a tearful confession.
Regardless of whichever it turns out is my dad, I still want a relationship with both of them. Just one is my uncle, one is my dad.
And you deserve that.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Shockley, Steve Shockley, if the results show you are not her biological father, will you regret ever mentioning this to her?
No, Your Honor.
Desiree's mom, Ms. Grove, comes in with a teary apology that makes everything feel 10 times more emotional. And now, the moment we've all been waiting for is finally here.
I can't explain it. I wouldn't like to be her dad because they've always had such a strong bond. You know, her growing up, you know, I can't change the past. I'm sorry for a lot of things, but in my heart, I feel like Mike is her dad. I just want Desiree to get the answers that she needs.
I'm glad, because I want you to get the answers you need.
Everyone holds their breath as Judge Lake reveals the DNA results, and the room is totally silent.
It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Steve Shockley.
Yes! Baby.
This one's a doozy as Ms. Hines spills the beans on their Christmas Eve hangout. But buckle up because this back and forth gets even juicier.
Christmas Eve, we had sex in the car. After that, I told him that I was pregnant. He basically said that he gave me a Christmas gift because he didn't give me anything for Christmas.
More than likely, I always be with my family on Christmas because we have like traditions.
This is Christmas Eve and not Christmas. We agreed to be with our families on Christmas.
Things get even crazier when Mr. Jackson claims Ms. Hines was shacking up with another dude. The story's already wild, but wait, Mr. Jackson's about to accuse her of even more sneaky stuff.
I'm disagreeing on both behalves because she was living with another male, so it's kind of like hard to like judge her because like.
So while you all were in this relationship or just having sex in the car, she was in a relationship with somebody else.
Yeah, it was a relationship. She had another male living with her.
Mr. Jackson doesn't hold back, saying he snooped around her place and found a box of condoms. Just when you think that's the end of it, Mr. Jackson has even more to say about her behavior.
And it was a time that like I was snooping around her house, and because she had said it was taking some stuff to store it. I seen a box, and in that box it was some condoms in the box, and I thought she was like.
So you thought at that point that man and her were having sex?
Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor, that is true.
Now it's Mr. Jackson's turn to act like a spy, talking about all the times he caught Ms. Hines texting other guys. And he's got a whole lot more drama up his sleeve.
And I was on vacation one time, like I was snooping around and I got a phone and I seen like she was texting numerous people. So I had snooped and went through one of the texts and I seen like she was texting this guy and he was like calling her bouncy.
You're doing a lot of snooping.
Yeah.
I mean, if you snooping, why are you even with her then?
I've just seen so many things that seem shady.
Here's where it gets really spicy. Mr. Jackson fires back, saying her messages with her ex were making him insecure. If you thought that was the end of it, nope, it's about to get more complicated.
He's calling me whore or hoe, whatever, sleeping around. But that's what he's been doing since we got together.
So from the looks of these messages, it seems like you entertaining these women.
The reason why I did what I did because like she had messages in her phone from her other fella that was talking about working on their relationship.
Ms. Hines' best friend steps up and wow, she does not hold back. The court is not impressed with Mr. Jackson's support and we're all waiting to see what excuse he'll come up with next.
I know she's been pretty much taking care of him by herself with my assistance, her mother, no help from him. I do most of the babysitting.
This woman is
He's paid
irrelevant.
me twice for babysitting. $10 a piece, both times. I'm more of a father to this child than he is.
When Mr. Jackson admits he didn't feel a bond with Matthias because the baby didn't look like him, you can almost hear everyone's eyes rolling. The judge doesn't let that slide, and things start to get real as Ms. Hines speaks from the heart about her son.
Mr. Jackson, did you go to any doctor's appointment?
Yes, I did.
Yes. Were you there at the birth?
Not at the birth, but I came after the birth.
And when you saw the baby, what did you feel?
I really didn't feel a connection because like he didn't have really much of my features, and I seen that he had like a blondish orange hair, and that's just not my family.
Okay,
so
but
I had
you
a
didn't
reason
feel
to
a
doubt right
connection
there.
from the beginning.
Yeah.
Why didn't you take the paternity test when she offered to pay for it?
Ms. Hines gets emotional as she explains that Matthias deserves to know his family, especially since he doesn't have other boys in his life. This tugs at the court's heartstrings, but before anyone can get too sappy, the judge turns to Mr. Jackson for his big response.
My son needs a father. He needs to know who his people is, where he comes from. It ain't just me. Like, we have no boys in our family. Like, he got little cousins he could play with. Like, after today, he still don't have to be in his son's life. It's fine, but I need him to know and his people to realize that you do have a son.
Judge Lake asks Mr. Jackson what he'd do if Matthias turns out to be his son, and Mr. Jackson hesitates, saying he'd want to be involved if he is the dad. It's a big moment, but with the DNA test right around the corner, things are about to get intense.
If, in fact, Matthias is found to be your biological child.
My intention is I would love to have a son because I have a daughter already. I don't really get to spend much time with her, and because she's out of the city, and at least try to make things work out with Rachel. But these accusations and the things that I've seen in the past was holding me back.
This is the bombshell moment.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Jackson, you are Matthias's father.
At least if I can get a hug.